The rain hammered the windows of Elmwood High like 1,000 accusing fingers, and in the dim glow of the classroom, 16-year-old Alex Harper's voice cut through the storm like a blade. "Whose ring is this?" he demanded, holding up the tarnished silver band that had slipped from Mr. Ellis's pocket during the frantic scramble to erase the board before the bell. The teacher's hand froze mid-air, his face draining of color as memories he'd buried deeper than his own heartbeat surged back, threatening to unravel everything in that single, shattering moment. Ethan Ellis, the openly gay English teacher who'd fought tooth and nail to keep his job in this conservative corner of rural Ohio, felt the world tilt. The ring wasn't just metal. It was a ghost from a love he'd lost to secrets and small-town scorn, a love that could destroy the fragile peace he'd built with his students, his colleagues, and the boy now staring at him with eyes wide as saucers, eyes that mirrored his own hidden storms. As thunder cracked overhead, Ethan swallowed hard, his voice a whisper that echoed louder than the gale. "It's mine, but it belongs to someone I can never get back." Alex's fingers tightened around the ring, the cool metal biting into his palm like a secret he wasn't sure he wanted. He'd found it by accident, or so he told himself, after bumping into Mr. Ellis in the hallway that afternoon. The teacher had been distracted, his usual sharp wit dulled by something Alex couldn't place. Maybe the rumors swirling through the halls about the new transfer student, Jordan Reyes, who wore his eyeliner like armor and held hands with no one. Alex had always admired Mr. Ellis, the way he wove stories of forbidden loves in Shakespeare into lessons that felt personal, like confessions disguised as sonnets. But now, clutching this relic, Alex wondered if admiration was just a polite word for the confusion churning in his gut, the way his gaze lingered too long on the curve of Jordan's jaw during lunch. Ethan forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes, gesturing for Alex to sit as the last students filed out, oblivious to the earthquake brewing. "Hand it over, Harper. Class is over." But Alex didn't move, his sneakers rooted to the linoleum as if the ring had chained him there. The classroom smelled of chalk dust and wet wool, a scent that clung to Ethan's sweater like regret. He could see the questions forming on Alex's freckled face, the same questions that had haunted Ethan since he was Alex's age, sneaking glances at the quarterback in the locker room, heart pounding with a terror he couldn't name. "It's not just a ring," Alex said finally, his voice cracking like the thunder outside. He placed it on the desk between them, the silver catching the fluorescent light in a mocking gleam. "You look like you'd seen a ghost when I picked it up." Ethan sat heavily in his chair, the wood creaking under him, and for a moment, he considered lying. Lies were easier in Elmwood, where the church steeple loomed taller than the water tower, and whispers could end careers. But Alex's eyes, earnest, searching, held him captive. This boy, with his messy blonde hair and band tees under his flannel, had defended Jordan in the cafeteria last week when Tommy Hardgrove slung slurs like dodgeballs. Maybe it was time to trust someone young enough to still believe in heroes. "Ghosts are real," Ethan admitted, his voice steadying as he picked up the ring, turning it over to reveal the faint inscription inside. "To E, forever, L. This belonged to Lucas. My partner. We were engaged once, back in college in Chicago. He gave it to me the night he proposed, under the L tracks, with the trains rumbling like applause." Alex leaned forward, elbows on knees, the storm outside fading to a murmur. Ethan hadn't spoken Lucas's name aloud in years, not since the funeral that Elmwood had pretended wasn't happening, the one where bigots picketed with signs reading "God hates fags," while Ethan scattered ashes alone by the lake. "What happened?" Alex asked, soft as a secret. Ethan hesitated, the weight of the story pressing on his chest like the Ohio humidity. Lucas had been everything, vibrant, unapologetic, with a laugh that could disarm a room. They'd met in a queer-lit class at Northwestern, bonding over Auden's elegies and stolen kisses in the stacks. But Lucas's family, devout Catholics from a suburb much like Elmwood, had discovered them during a surprise visit. The fallout was swift: disownment, threats, and Lucas's spiral into depression that ended with a bottle of pills and a note Ethan still kept in his nightstand drawer. "I'm sorry I couldn't be brave enough for us." The bell rang distantly, signaling the end of the day, but neither moved. "He left me this," Ethan continued, slipping the ring onto his pinky where it hung loose, a reminder of promises unkept. I came back here after, to teach, thinking I could hide. But hiding doesn't work, Alex. It just festers. Alex nodded slowly, his own fingers twisting the hem of his shirt. He thought of his dad, the factory foreman who joked about those city types on TV, and his mom, who baked pies for the PDA but averted her eyes when the Pride float passed in the county fair. And Jordan, God, Jordan, with his sharp wit and the way he sketched fantastical creatures in his notebook. Creatures that looked suspiciously like winged boys holding hands. That evening, as Alex pedaled home through puddles that mirrored the bruised sky, the ring's story lodged in his mind like a splinter. He couldn't shake the image of Mr. Ellis's trembling hand, or the raw ache in his voice. At dinner, his little sister chattered about school, but Alex barely heard, his fork pushing peas around his plate. Upstairs later, he scrolled through his phone, landing on Jordan's Instagram, a feed of Urban Decay art and cryptic quotes about loving fiercely despite the fall. Jordan had moved from LA after his parents split, his mom fleeing an abusive ex with a fresh start in Ohio's cornfields. Alex hit like on a photo of Jordan at the edge of the quarry, wind whipping his dark hair, and wondered if courage looked like that. Meanwhile, Ethan locked his classroom door with shaking hands, the ring back in his pocket like a loaded gun. He drove to the edge of town, where the fields gave way to the old mill by the river, and sat on the hood of his beat-up Civic, watching fireflies wink like hesitant stars. Lucas would have hated this place, too quiet, too conforming, but he'd loved Ethan's passion for words, the way he'd turn heartbreak into haikus whispered at dawn. Tonight, the silence amplified the doubts. Was coming out to Alex a mistake? The kid was straight, or so everyone assumed, but his protectiveness toward Jordan spoke volumes. Ethan pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over a blocked number, his ex-colleague from Chicago, now a principal in the city, who'd offered a job last month. Escape or fight. The next morning, Elmwood High buzzed with the aftermath of the storm, power outages, canceled buses, and a substitute in math class who let them watch movies. Alex found Jordan in the library, hunched over a sketchpad, charcoal smudging his fingers. "Hey," Alex said, sliding into the seat across from him. Jordan glanced up, his hazel eyes guarded behind thick lashes, the eyeliner a subtle defiance against the fluorescent glare. "You look like you swallowed a storm cloud. What's up?" Alex pulled out the ring, borrowed from his imagination but heavy with Ethan's truth. No, he hadn't taken it, just the memory. "Mr. Ellis dropped this yesterday. It's from his fiancée who died." Jordan's pencil stilled, his expression shifting from wary to something softer, like recognition. "Suicide," he guessed, voice low. Alex nodded, the word hanging between them like smoke. Jordan knew that shadow. His uncle had taken his life 2 years back, after coming out to a family that chose silence over support. "People don't get it," Jordan murmured, sketching a quick outline of a broken chain. "They think it's weakness, but it's the weight that breaks you." For the first time, Alex reached across the table, his hand brushing Jordan's wrist, not a grab, but a bridge. Jordan didn't pull away, his skin warm against the cool library air. "Tell me about him," Alex said, and Jordan did, words tumbling like rain. How his uncle had sent letters from San Francisco, full of jazz clubs and rainbow flags, before the darkness won. In return, Alex shared Ethan's story, the ring becoming a talisman of shared grief. By lunch, they were laughing over cafeteria mystery meat, Jordan's foot accidentally on purpose nudging Alex's under the table, sending sparks neither named. Ethan noticed, of course. From his vantage in the faculty lounge, he saw the shift, the way Alex's shoulders relaxed around Jordan, the tentative smiles that bloomed like wildflowers after rain. It stirred something in him, a mix of hope and fear. Hope that these boys might navigate the minefield he hadn't. Fear that Elmwood's vultures would circle. Principal Hargrove, Tommy's father, had called him in last week, citing concerns about inappropriate discussions in class. Code for Ethan's pride pins on his lanyard and the rainbow stickers on his whiteboard. That afternoon, conflict erupted in the gym during free period. Tommy Hargrove, all swagger and steroid-fueled bravado, cornered Jordan by the bleachers. "Fairy boy thinks he can prance around my school? Go back to California with your fag parade." The slur landed like a punch, and Jordan stiffened, sketchbook clutched like a shield. Alex, lacing up sneakers nearby, overheard and surged forward, shoving Tommy hard enough to stagger him. Back off, man. It's 2025, not the Stonewall Dark Ages. Fists flew before coaches could intervene. Tommy's haymaker glancing Alex's jaw, Jordan's wild swing connecting with a rib. Ethan, passing by for a forgotten grade book, burst into the fray, pulling Alex back by the collar as blood trickled from a split lip. Enough! His voice boomed, authority laced with desperation. The gym fell silent, stares pinning them like specimens. Principal Hargrove arrived minutes later, face thunderous, hauling all three to his office. Ethan followed, heart hammering, knowing this could be the spark that ignites the powder keg. In the stuffy office, smelling of stale coffee and old files, Hargrove loomed behind his desk. Ellis, this is on you. Encouraging this behavior. Tommy smirked from his chair, ice packed to his eye, while Alex and Jordan sat side by side, defiant in their silence. Ethan's blood boiled, the implication that his existence poisoned the air. Behavior? You mean standing up to bullies? Or loving who we love without apology? The words escaped before he could cage them, hanging heavy as the ring in his pocket. Hargrove's eyes narrowed. Watch your tone. We have standards here. But Ethan pressed on, voice rising like the river in flood. Standards that let slurs fly but question a kid for eyeliner? Jordan and Alex are protecting each other, same as I protect my students every day from ignorance like yours. Alex glanced at him, gratitude flickering in his bruised eyes. Jordan squeezed Alex's hand under the desk, unseen but felt. Suspension loomed. 3 days for the boys, a warning for Ethan, but as they filed out, something shifted. Tommy slunk away, muttering, but his glare held less venom, cracked by doubt. Outside, under the awning as rain misted the air, Alex turned to Ethan. Thank you. For everything. Jordan nodded, adding softly, You're like family. The word hit Ethan like sunlight after eclipse, warming the chill of years alone. That night, Ethan hosted an impromptu gathering at his small apartment above the bookstore. Pizza, board games, and stories swapped like currency. Alex and Jordan arrived together, tentative at first, but soon sprawled on the rug, debating The Great Gatsby versus Giovanni's Room. Ethan watched from the kitchen, pouring sodas, the ring on his finger catching the lamplight. Lucas would have loved this, messy, real, alive. But twists waited in the shadows. A week later, an anonymous email landed in Ethan's inbox. I know about the ring. And Lucas, leave town or everyone learns the truth. Attached was a photo, grainy, but unmistakable. Him and Lucas, young and entwined, kissing in a Chicago park. Panic clawed at him. Who? A colleague? A student? He deleted it, but the threat lingered, poisoning the fragile trust he'd built. Alex sensed the change, the way Ethan's lessons grew clipped, his smile strained. During after-school lit club, as they dissected Brokeback Mountain, Alex pulled him aside. What's wrong? Is it the email? Ethan's head snapped up. How? You saw? Alex flushed. Jordan's mom is IT. She flagged it in the school server. It's from a burner account, but traced to local IP. Loyalty burned in Alex's eyes, a fierce protectiveness that mirrored Ethan's own youth. Together, they pieced it. Tommy, goaded by his father, hacking from the library computer. The confrontation came swift. Ethan, Alex, and Jordan at the Hargroves' door after dark, rain slicking their coats. Mrs. Hargrove answered, confusion etching her face, but Principal Hargrove barreled in, red-faced. Trespassing. Tommy hovered behind, guilt twisting his features. It's over, Ethan said, holding up his phone with the traced logs. The emails, the photo, it's harassment. Federal offense. Hargrove blustered, but the wind left his sails when Tommy stepped forward, voice small. Dad made me. Said Ellis was corrupting us. The admission cracked the facade, Mrs. Hargrove's hand flying to her mouth. In the tense standoff, truths spilled. Hargrove's own brother, lost to AIDS in the 80s, unspoken grief fueling his hate. Forgiveness didn't come easy, no Hollywood montage, but seeds planted. Tommy joined Lit Club weeks later, awkward but earnest, quoting Baldwin like a penance. Alex and Jordan's bond deepened, hands held openly in the halls, a quiet revolution. Ethan, unburdened, wore the ring proudly, its inscription a badge. Yet the deepest twist unfurled in spring, as cherry blossoms dusted Elmwood like confetti. A letter arrived, postmarked Chicago, from Lucas's sister, long estranged. I found his journal. He loved you enough to break for it. Forgive us. Inside, pages of words, Lucas's voice, alive again, chronicling their joy, his shame, his final plea for Ethan to live boldly. Tears blurred the ink as Ethan read by the river, Alex and Jordan flanking him, silent sentinels. He'd be proud, Alex said, arm around Jordan's shoulders. Ethan nodded, slipping the ring onto his left hand for the first time in years. Not a ghost, but a guide. In the end, love wasn't the absence of storms, but dancing in them, ringed fingers intertwined, voices steady against the thunder. The auditorium lights dimmed, casting long shadows across the stage where Elmwood High's spring talent show unfolded in a haze of nerves and neon spots. Ethan Ellis stood backstage, arms crossed, watching Alex Harper adjust his guitar strap with the focus of a surgeon. The boy had grown into the past months, shoulders broader, gaze steadier, and tonight, he was debuting an original song, one scribbled in the margins of Ethan's lesson plans about Ennis and Jack's unspoken ache. Jordan Reyes hovered nearby, fiddling with stage cues, his eyeliner traded for subtle kohl that made his eyes smolder under the lights. Their hands brushed as Alex tuned up, a casual intimacy that still sent a thrill through Ethan, reminding him why he'd stayed in this fight. But beneath the excitement simmered unease. The anonymous threats had ceased after the Hargrove reckoning, yet Ethan caught whispers in the teacher's lounge, eyes lingering on his ring, murmurs about that incident with Tommy. Principal Hargrove had toned down his scowls, even nodding at Ethan in the hall, but trust was a fragile vine in Elmwood soil. And now, with the school board election looming, a new challenger had emerged. Victoria Lang, a sharp-tongued councilwoman promising family values and safe schools, her campaign flyers plastered with photos of smiling white kids, no rainbows in sight. Rumors swirled she'd eye Ethan's job if elected. Alex stepped into the spotlight, the crowd, a mix of bleary-eyed parents and sugar-rush teens, hushing as his fingers strummed the opening chords. The song poured out, raw and resonant. Rivers run deep, but we build our bridges from whispers and stone, holding on when the current pulls us under. Jordan watched from the wings, pride swelling his chest, but his mind raced ahead to summer, to college apps, to the Queer Youth Center in Columbus where he and Alex planned weekend escapes. They'd talked futures over late-night texts, dreams of art school for Jordan, music therapy for Alex, a shared apartment with posters of Frida and Bowie peeling at the edges. Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from Sarah, the history teacher and his reluctant ally. Board meeting tomorrow. Lang's pushing curriculum review. Heads up. He pocketed it, forcing focus on Alex's voice, which cracked on the bridge but recovered with a vulnerability that hushed the room. Applause erupted as the final note faded, Jordan rushing on stage for a quick hug that lingered a beat too long, drawing a few catcalls from the back row. Tommy Hargrove, seated with his mom, clapped loudest, his redemption arc still bumpy but genuine. Backstage chaos ensued. Hugs, high fives, Jordan smearing stage makeup on Alex's cheek in retaliation for a tickle fight. Ethan hung back, smiling, but a shadow detached from the curtain. Victoria Lang herself, clipboard in hand, her pantsuit crisp as a sermon. Inspiring performance, Mr. Ellis, she said, voice honeyed venom. Though the lyrics, poignant, reminds one of certain influences. Her eyes flicked to the ring on his finger, then to Alex and Jordan, entwined in laughter. Ethan's jaw tightened. Art reflects life, councilwoman, as does leadership. She chuckled, low and knowing. We'll see about that. As she glided away, Ethan felt the old chill, the one that had driven Lucas to despair. He pulled Alex aside amid the milling crowd. That song. It was beautiful. You two are building something real. Alex grinned, adrenaline flushing his cheeks. Thanks to you. But hey, you okay? Looked like you saw a ghost again. Ethan waved it off, but the seed of doubt took root. The next day's board meeting was public, held in the high school library with folding chairs scraping against carpet. Ethan arrived early, staking a seat near Sarah, who passed him coffee laced with sympathy. The room filled with locals, farmers in flannel, moms with toddlers on hips, a smattering of queer kids from the district clutching homemade signs. Love is the lesson. Lang swept in like a storm front, her presentation a barrage of slides. Rising incidents, vague stats on fights, parental concerns, anecdotes from Hargrove allies, and proposals to align curricula with community standards, code for scrubbing queer narratives from English syllabi. When Ethan's name surfaced, certain faculty promoting personal agendas, the air thickened. Lang projected an email chain, redacted but damning, complaints about inappropriate discussions in his class. Ethan's stomach dropped. It traced back to the gym brawl, twisted into ammunition. We value diversity, Lang intoned, but not at the expense of our children's innocence. Murmurs rippled, agreement from the back, hisses from the front. He stood, voice steady despite the quake in his knees. Innocence isn't preserved by erasure. My class teaches empathy, through Romeo and Juliet's tragedy, through Baldwin's unflinching truth. Ask my students. They've learned more about kindness from facing prejudice than hiding from it. Alex and Jordan, seated in the youth section, nodded fiercely, Jordan's sketchpad open to a doodle of a phoenix rising from book pages aflame. Questions flew, pointed, probing. A farmer asked about indoctrination. Ethan countered with data on lower suicide rates in inclusive schools. Lang parried with anecdotes of confused kids. But the tide turned when Tommy Hargrove rose, 16 and still growing into his frame. Mr. Ellis saved me, he said, voice carrying. I was the bully. He didn't write me off. He taught me better. Silence, then applause, tentative but building. Sarah squeezed Ethan's arm as the vote loomed. Status quo held, 5-4. Relief washed over him like cool rain, but victory tasted bittersweet. Outside, under sodium lamps, Alex and Jordan waited, faces alight. You were epic, Alex said, pulling him into a group hug that smelled of rain and youth. Jordan added, like a knight in tweed. Laughter bubbled, easing the knot in Ethan's chest. Driving home, the ring glinted on the dash, Lucas's inscription catching moonlight, forever. Yet peace fractured 2 nights later. Ethan woke to pounding on his door, 3 a.m., heart slamming. Alex stood there, soaked, Jordan trailing, eyes red-rimmed. It's my dad, Alex gasped. He found my journal. The songs, the drawings Jordan gave me. He lost it. Jordan shivered, arms wrapped tight. Called me every name. Said we'd burn in hell. Ethan ushered them in, brewing tea with hands that shook. Stories spilled. Mr. Harper, a good man worn by layoffs and liquor, had rifled Alex's room after overhearing a call to the youth center. The outburst escalated. Yells, a slammed door, Alex bolting with Jordan in tow. Ethan listened, the weight familiar, families fracturing under unseen pressures. You can't go back tonight, he said firmly. My couch is yours. As dawn crept in, painting the kitchen gold, they talked, really talked. Alex confessed the fear of losing his dad, the love blooming for Jordan that terrified as much as it thrilled. Jordan admitted his own scars, the move from LA a fresh wound on old ones. Ethan shared more of Lucas, not the polished version, but the messy. Arguments over coming out, nights Lucas cried into pillows, the proposal ring bought on a whim with last paycheck. By morning, a plan formed. Call Alex's mom first, the softer bridge. She arrived, face ashen, pulling her son into fierce embrace. I didn't know, she whispered to Ethan. He's always been my quiet one. Mr. Harper followed, sheepish in the daylight, words tumbling, regret, confusion from his own repressed youth, a college crush buried under marriage and mill shifts. No easy absolution, but a start. Family counseling, pride books on the coffee table. The incident rippled outward, strengthening bonds. Alex and Jordan volunteered at the youth center, leading workshops on allyship. Tommy organized a GSA meeting, his dad attending awkwardly in the back. Ethan testified at a state hearing on inclusive education, his story quoted in the Columbus Dispatch. Lang's campaign faltered, Her values ring hollow against Elmwood's quiet evolution. Summer arrived with fireflies and county fairs. Alex and Jordan's first kiss under the Ferris wheel. Chaste, electric, witnessed only by stars. Ethan watched from afar, Lucas's ring a steady warmth. Love, he realized, wasn't possession but propagation. Rings passed like batons in an endless relay. But autumn brought the sharpest turn. A package arrived at school, unmarked, heavy. Inside, Lucas's journal, forwarded by his sister with a note. Read. Then burn, if you must. He wrote for you. Pages yellowed, ink faded, but the words leaped. Entries of doubt, devotion, a hidden pregnancy. Lucas's, from a brief pre-coming-out fling, given up for adoption and secrecy. If we survive this, we'll find our child someday. Promise. Ethan's world reeled. A child? Alive, perhaps in Ohio's foster maze? He confided in Alex and Jordan over ice cream at the parlor, their reactions a mirror. Shock, then resolve. We help you search, Jordan said, ever the artist plotting quests. Alex nodded. Family isn't blood, it's choice. The search began covertly, calls to agencies, old contacts in Chicago. Dead ends piled, but hope flickered. Then, a lead, a 20-year-old barista in Cleveland, adopted, seeking bio parents. Ethan drove up alone first, heart in throat, meeting Riley at a coffee shop overlooking the lake. She was Lucas incarnate. Curls, laugh, eyes that pierced. I found your name in his letter, she said, sliding over a photocopy. Tell him I loved him enough to let go. Tears fell into lattes as stories bridged decades. Riley, queer herself, studying graphic design, hugged him like kin. Back in Elmwood, she met Alex and Jordan, instant friends, sketching futures over pizza. The ring, passed to her pinky, completed a circle. In the end, rings weren't claims, but connections, silver threads weaving through storms, binding the broken into wholes. Leaves skittered across Elmwood's cracked sidewalks like frantic secrets as Ethan Ellis navigated the crowded halls of the high school, his satchel heavy with graded essays and unspoken worries. Riley's arrival had upended his quiet routine, her visits a whirlwind of laughter and late-night talks that filled his apartment with life he'd thought lost. She fit seamlessly, baking scones with Jordan's flair, debating folk rock with Alex. But the joy carried undercurrents, ripples from Lucas's hidden choices that made Ethan question every buried memory. Was there more? Other ghosts? Alex Harper slammed his locker, startling a freshman into dropping books. Sorry, he muttered, but his mind was elsewhere, on the college acceptance letter burning a hole in his backpack. Berkeley, full ride for music, Boston calling. Jordan's Parsons nod had come yesterday, NYC skyline a siren song. Excitement warred with dread. Their summer promises, road trips, bonfires, now felt like preludes to goodbyes. You tell him yet? Jordan asked, appearing with a vending machine soda. His hair dyed a rebellious blue that clashed gloriously with the fluorescent hum. Tonight, Alex said, accepting the drink. Over stargazing. Romantic, right? Jordan smirked, but his eyes held the same shadow. They'd grown inseparable, a duo defying Elmwood stairs, holding hands at the diner, volunteering at the center where Riley now led art therapy sessions. Yet distance loomed, a chasm wider than interstates. Ethan caught them at lunch, tray in hand. Family meeting after school? Riley's bringing her famous chili. The boys nodded, but Alex's forced grin betrayed him. In the classroom, as Ethan lectured on the color purple's redemptions, his gaze lingered on Alex's doodles, guitar chords intertwined with cityscapes. The bell rang, and Alex lingered. Can I talk? About futures. They walked the empty hall, lockers echoing their steps. Alex spilled it all. The letter, the fear of leaving Jordan, Elmwood, Ethan. You're like the dad I wish I had sometimes, he admitted, cheeks burning. Ethan's throat tightened. Fatherhood, even surrogate, was a role he'd never dared claim. You'll thrive, Alex. And Jordan, he's your anchor, not your chain. Love adapts. He clapped Alex's shoulder, the ring glinting like permission. That evening, under a quilt of stars at the quarry's edge, Alex and Jordan lay entwined, blankets muffling whispers. Boston, NYC, It's not forever, Jordan said, tracing constellations on Alex's palm. Weekends, holidays, us against the world. Alex kissed him slow, tasting salt of unshed tears. Promise. Jordan's nod was fierce. Like that ring, unbreakable. Back at the apartment, chili simmered, Riley chopping onions with dramatic flair. So, spill, she demanded as they ate cross-legged on the floor. Alex shared the news. Cheers erupted, hugs tumbling like dominoes. But Riley's eyes, so like Lucas's, sharpened on Ethan. You okay, Pops? The nickname, casual yet profound, pierced him. He nodded, but later, alone with the journal, doubt crept. Had Lucas hidden more? A letter tucked in the binding revealed it. A paternity test, inconclusive, but hinting Ethan might share Riley's blood. Shock rooted him. Confrontation waited till morning. Over coffee, steam curling like questions, he showed her. Riley paled, then laughed, a brittle sound. Does it change anything? Ethan pulled her close. No. Your family either way. Relief softened her, but the revelation stirred old wounds. Lucas's deceptions born of fear, now echoing in Ethan's resolve to transparency. School days blurred into Thanksgiving prep, turkeys and tensions. Victoria Lang, defeated but venomous, launched a blog. Elmwood Exposed, anonymous posts dredging gym fights, radical teachers. Ethan's name featured, twisted tales of grooming, Violet Club. Whispers reignited, a parent meeting loomed, storm clouds gathering. Alex and Jordan rallied. Petitions circulated, signed by Tommy's GSA crew, even Hargrove's reluctant endorsement. Riley designed flyers, bold graphics of linked hands spelling unity. The meeting packed the cafeteria, air thick with pie and prejudice. Lang moderated, her smile a scalpel. Concerns abound. She opened, reading blog excerpts. Ethan rose, voice calm as Lake Erie. Blogs lie, lives don't. Ask my students. Alex spoke next, guitar calloused hands steady. Mr. Ellis taught me courage, to love Jordan without shame, to chase dreams despite doubts. Jordan followed, voice artist precise. He gave us space to heal, not hide. Riley, from the back, added, family isn't perfect, but it's ours. Claps swelled, drowning Lang's rebuttals. She conceded ground, blog fading like bad ink. Victory tasted of pumpkin spice, bonds fortified. Winter blanketed Elmwood in snow, muffling but not muting heartbeats. Alex and Jordan's holiday concert duet, Hallelujah reimagined with fiddle and voice, drew tears, Ethan's proudest yet. Riley stayed through New Year's, her presence a bridge to Lucas's legacy. But January thawed secrets. A call from Chicago, Lucas's sister, dying of cancer, summoning Ethan. Tell her everything, Riley urged, packing his bag. The drive north was introspection's highway, memories replaying like radio static. In the hospice room, pale light filtering through blinds, Aunt Maria gripped his hand. He never stopped loving you. Forgave us too late. She handed a box, letters, photos, a second ring, twin to Ethan's. For Riley. Or you. Weeping cleansed decades. Ethan returned lighter, ring shared in a ceremony by the river. Riley on one hand, him on the other, Alex and Jordan witnesses. Spring bloomed defiant, graduations looming. Alex and Jordan's farewell party at the apartment overflowed, balloons, ballads, bittersweet toasts. To rings and roads, Ethan raised his glass, voice thick. Hugs lingered, promises exchanged. As cars pulled away, Ethan stood on the porch, snowmelt dripping from eaves. The ring warmed his finger, not burden, but beacon. Love's circle, unbroken. Cherry blossoms surrendered to summer's insistent green as Ethan Ellis packed his classroom, posters curling at edges like old loves. Graduation had come and gone in a blur of caps and cameras. Alex Harper striding the stage to pomp and circumstance remixed with folk riffs. Jordan Reyes sketching the ceremony from the front row, their clasped hands a quiet anthem. Elmwood High felt emptier without them, halls echoing with ghosts of laughter and late-night study sessions. Riley, now a fixture, had subbed art classes, her vibrant murals transforming drab walls into tapestries of possibility. Ethan's days stretched long, lesson plans yielding to quiet evenings at the youth center. where he'd taken a part-time role counseling. Kids like Milo, a wiry freshman with a stutter and a crush on his best friend, filed in weekly, stories spilling like unchecked rivers. How do you know it's real? Milo asked one Tuesday, fidgeting with a pride bracelet. Ethan thought of Alex's quarry kiss, Jordan's steadfast gaze. It scares you and saves you. But beneath the calm, fissures formed. Victoria Lang, licking election wounds, pivoted to local theater board, her influence snaking into the community playhouse where Ethan volunteered. Our town, innocuous on paper, became battleground, her push to tone down the queer undertones in Emily's monologues drawing lines. Rehearsals tensed, actors whispered, directors deferred. Ethan, cast as the stage manager, felt the noose tighten. Riley sensed it first, over dinner at the diner, burgers and shakes, her curls tied back with a bandana. "You're fraying, Pops." "Talk." He did, words tumbling. The isolation creeping back, Lucas's rings heavy as anchors. "I fought for Elmwood, but sometimes Chicago calls." She reached across, squeezing. "Then go. But take us with you." Us, her, the center kids, the town inching toward acceptance. The breaking point came mid-rehearsal. Lang cornered him backstage, script in manicured claws. "This role suits you," detached, observing. "But meddling in our narratives?" Overstep. Her implication stung. The gay sage, tolerated but not trusted. Ethan fired back, voice low thunder. "Narratives are lives, Victoria. Yours included. Heard about your brother's partner in Cincinnati." Her face blanched. Leverage, unintended but effective. She retreated, but fallout brewed. Anonymous flyers appeared downtown. "Protect our stages from agenda." Protests simmered, picketers at opening night, signs clashing with ticket lines. Ethan considered quitting, but Milo showed up at his door, script clutched. "Don't let them win. You're our voice." Strength borrowed, he stayed. Opening night crackled with electricity, house packed despite the chill. Alex and Jordan, home from orientations. Boston's bustle leaving Alex sun-kissed. NYC's edge sharpening Jordan's sketches, sat front row, Riley beside them. As Ethan stepped into lights, narrating Grover's corners with measured gravitas, the play unfolded. Births, loves, deaths, Emily's poignant return. Lang watched from balcony, arms crossed, but tears betrayed her. Curtain fell to standing ovation, picketers dispersed by cheers. Backstage, hugs enveloped Ethan, Alex's bare crush, Jordan's quick sketch of him as wizard. "Legend," Jordan whispered. Lang approached post-show, handshake tentative. "You were right. It's about all of us." Truce, fragile as spring ice. Summer deepened, road trip planned. Ethan, Riley, Alex, Jordan piling into the Civic for Route 66 echoes, Chicago first, Lucas's haunts revisited. City streets hummed familiar, L trains rattling like old friends. At the park from the photo, they picnicked, rings glinting in sun. To him, Riley toasted, voice steady. Laughter followed, ghosts laid gentler. But on Route South, conflict ignited. A flat tire in Indiana stranding them at a roadside motel, tensions flared. Alex snapping at Jordan over playlists, Riley withdrawing into sketches. Ethan mediated by fire pit light, S. Moray's melting metaphors. "Roads test us," he said. Like love. Confessions aired. Alex's imposter syndrome at Berkeley, Jordan's fear of fading into NYC's anonymity, Riley's anxiety over sophomore year abroad. Dawn mended, tire fixed. They pressed on. Grand Canyon vistas healing rifts, stars over deserts whispering forgiveness. Back in Elmwood, tanned and transformed, they hosted a block party. Grills smoking, stories swapped. Tommy Hargrove manned the grill, his dad flipping burgers with awkward jokes. Milo debuted a poem, voice steady. Autumn whispered returns. Alex and Jordan to cities, Riley to campus. Airport goodbyes tugged, hugs fierce, promises texted. Ethan stood alone in the terminal, ring turning on finger. Emptiness echoed, but purpose pulsed. New kids at the center, rent additions brewing. Winter's grip loosened to Valentine's frost, a card arriving and signed. "You changed my script." V.L. Lang's olive branch, a queer-lit donation to the library. Small victories stacked like snowdrifts. Then, spring's cruelest twist, a call from Boston. Alex, voice hollow, Jordan's missing. Left Parsons after a fight, said he felt lost. Panic surged. Ethan booked flights, Riley meeting him at Logan. Searches scoured NYC, subways, studios, shelters. Days blurred into dread, Ethan's mind replaying every sign missed. Breakthrough came via Jordan's sketchbook, left behind. Coordinates scribbled in margins, a quarry echo. They found him in upstate woods, easel amid birches, painting isolation's ache. I ran, he admitted, charcoal-streaked. From the noise, from fearing I'd drag you down. Alex pulled him close, tears salting soil. You're my muse, idiot. We navigate together. Healing unfolded in layers. Therapy sessions via Zoom, art as anchor. Jordan returned, resilient. Alex's songs bloomed deeper. Ethan, rings doubled on chain, counseled them through, his own heart mending. Graduation season circled back, Milo's turn, cap tassel swinging. As confetti rained, Ethan watched, full. Rings linked fates, storms forged steels, love's endless, winding road. Fireworks cracked against the July sky over Elmwood's fairgrounds, bursts of red and gold mirroring the flush on Alex Harper's cheeks as he spun Jordan Reyes on the midway, cotton candy dissolving sticky sweet between their fingers. A year into their long-distance dance, Boston weekends colliding with NYC sublets, they'd mastered the art of stolen time, suitcases packed with mixtapes and murmured plans. But tonight, amid funnel cakes and Ferris wheel lights, Alex dropped to one knee, a simple silver band glinting in his palm, not grand, but etched with JNA across miles. Jordan's yes was a gasp swallowed by cheers, rings exchanged under stars that winked approval. Ethan Ellis heard the news over a crackly call from the road, his thumb tracing Lucas's twin rings as Riley drove them toward a queer-lit conference in Pittsburgh. About time, he chuckled, pride swelling. Riley hooped, swerving playfully. Our boys are legends. The conference buzzed, panels on Baldwin's legacies, workshops weaving personal narratives into prose. Ethan presented on teaching tolerance through tragedy, his voice steady, slides featuring Alex's song lyrics anonymized. Attendees nodded, some tearful. A young teacher from Toledo lingered post-talk. You give hope, she said. In places like mine. Back home, wedding whispers wove through fall foliage. Alex and Jordan envisioned small, backyard vows, folk band, Elmwood's quirky choir. Ethan volunteered to officiate, ordained online with a grin. Preparations pulled them together. Riley designing invites with whimsical sketches, Tommy Hargrove building an arch from reclaimed barnwood. Milo, now a sophomore poet, scripted readings, The House on Mango Street excerpts on found families. But shadows lengthened with winter's approach. Victoria Lang, reformed but restless, announced a school board run again, platform laced with inclusivity audits, veiled threats to programs like Ethan's Lit Club. Flyers reappeared, subtler, excellence for all, without extremes. Whispers in grocery aisles turned pointed. A parent confronted Ethan at the pump. Heard you're marrying off those boys. Careful, doesn't look good for the kids. Isolation nipped like frost. Riley, abroad in Paris for semester, Skyped reassurances. Fight pretty pops. Ethan rallied. GSA bake sale, ally trainings, but fatigue settled, rings heavy as unresolved grief. A nightmare woke him. Lucas drowning in Ohio rains, reaching. Morning brought resolve. He called Alex. Need backup. They arrived whirlwind. Alex tuning guitar by the hearth. Jordan sketching protest posters with Milo. Strategy sessions over cocoa plotted. Op-eds in the Gazette, Town Hall Q&As. Lang countered with charm offensives. Photo ops at churches, promises of balanced books. The debate, held in the VFW hall, crackled. Ethan moderating, questions lobbed like grenades. Mr. Ellis, a farmer pressed. Your clubs push agendas. What about traditional values? Ethan leaned in. Tradition evolves. Like Pride and Prejudice, love defies class, time. My students learn that through stories, not sermons. Applause scattered, then built. Lang faltered on follow-ups, her audits exposed as cuts. Election night. Votes tallied in the rec center, tallied hope. Incumbents held, Lang's margin slimmer than her smile. Relief thawed into wedding fever. Spring bloomed lush, cherry trees arching over the backyard ceremony. Rows of folding chairs filled with Elmwood's mosaic. Hargroves beside center kids, Milo reciting vows with poetic grace. Ethan stood under the arch, rings in pocket, voice warm. Love isn't a battlefield, it's a bridge. Alex and Jordan exchanged bands, simple silvers, inscribed with quarries and stars, sealing promises amid petals and applause. Honeymoon postcards arrived from the Keys, sunsets, seashells, sketches of conch shells shaped like hearts. Ethan framed one, hung beside Lucas's journal. Riley returned tan and triumphant, Paris tales spilling over brunches. Baguettes and boys, she teased, but her eyes held depths. A new beau, a French illustrator met at a cafe. Rings not yet, but hints. Summer simmered with new rhythms. The center expanded, grant-funded wing for music therapy. Alex led sessions remotely, Jordan guest lecturing on visual storytelling. Ethan guest taught at community college, Giovanni's room syllabi drawing crowds. But a letter from Aunt Maria's estate upended calm. Lucas's will, contested years back, now unsealed. Assets to Ethan, including a Chicago loft, keys enclosed. Decision loomed: sell or reclaim. Weekends in the city tested. L trains rattling nostalgia. Loft overlooking the lake. Walls echoing ghosts. Riley visited, claiming a room for crash pads. Our Pide Terra, she dubbed it. Ethan wavered. Elmwood's pull strong. Kids needing him, roots deep. Crisis crystallized it. A center teen, Jamie, trans, 16, runaways scars fresh, attempted overdose after family rejection. Ethan at hospital bedside, holding vigil, felt the call acute. Stay, Alex urged on speaker. You're our anchor. Jordan added, build bridges, not escapes. He sold the loft, fund seeding center scholarships, named for Lucas. Fall brought harvest festivals, hayrides laced with cider and confessions. Milo came out at homecoming. Parents hug viral on local news. Tommy, college-bound for social work, credited Ethan in his speech. You saw me, not my mistakes. Thanksgiving gathered them, table groaning under turkey. Alex and Jordan's first holiday as husbands, rings catching candlelight. Toasts toasted resilience. To storms weathered, rings unbroken. Winter whispered deeper bonds. A pregnancy announcement. Riley's, with her beau proposing over Eiffel crepes, sparked joy's cascade. Auntie Alex and Uncle Jordan, they joked, planning nurseries. Ethan, rings trio now, Lucas's, Riley's borrowed, a new one for the baby, felt legacy live. Spring's thaw revealed Lang's concession, a donation to the center, anonymous but scented with her perfume. Redemption's arc, slow burn. Then, summer's zenith. Riley's wedding in Paris, Ethan walking her aisle, Alex and Jordan best folks. Sane sunset sealed it, rings exchanged anew, circles eternal. Back in Elmwood, as fireflies danced, Ethan sat porch-side, journal open. Words flowed, a memoir, rings of thunder, truths transcribed. Love story, ongoing, hooks that held, voices unshaken. Cicadas droned a relentless chorus through Elmwood's languid August afternoons, the air thick with heat and the promise of change as Ethan Ellis mentored a new crop of freshmen in the high school's sweltering auditorium. Riley's baby bump had rounded sweetly over spring, her Paris beau, now husband Theo, relocating for a gallery gig in Columbus, their nest feathering with imported linens and lullabies in bilingual French. Alex and Jordan, settled in a Brooklyn brownstone after grad school stints, commuted for center workshops, their rings dulled by daily, wear but shining in stories shared. Life's tapestry wove tighter, threads of family pulling against the town's fraying edges. Yet discord hummed beneath. Budget cuts loomed, state funds slashed for non-essentials like arts and counseling, threatening the center's wing. Principal Hargrove, softened by time, lobbied, but bureaucracy stonewalled. Ethan rallied donors, bake sales, readathons, a benefit concert headlined by Alex's rising folk band. Jordan designed the poster, silhouettes of hands linked under storm clouds, tagline harmony in the heights. Rehearsals pulsed with energy. Milo, now a junior with published chapbook. On percussion, exuding quiet command. Tommy, home from college, roadied amps, his laugh booming redemption. But opening night brewed storm. Victoria Lang, ever the phoenix, announced candidacy for mayor, stump speech decrying wasteful programs at the very venue. Protesters clashed outside, signs for fiscal restraint versus center banners, halting the show mid-set. Chaos erupted, shouts, shoves, a scuffle spilling indoors. Ethan waded in, voice booming over amps. This is our home, not a battlefield. Lang, microphone seized, faltered under spotlights. Alex took the stage unscripted, guitar unplugged, singing a cappella. We rise from the ring of the bell, unbroken, unbowed. Silence fell, then cheers, Lang slipping out shadowed. Funds poured post-viral clip, thousands, enough to save the wing. Lang's pole dipped. She pivoted to infrastructure, truce tacit. Fall gilded victories, center groundbreaking. Riley's son born under harvest moon, named Lucian, for light lost and found. Winter wrapped Elmwood in hush, holidays a hearth glow of kin. Alex and Jordan hosted in Brooklyn, subway serenades, skyline toasts, rings clinking glasses. Ethan cradled Lucian, tiny fingers grasping his legacy's pulse. Spring unfurled scandals. A leaked email chain exposed Lang's allies in old threats. The ring photo, harassment logs. Investigations swirled. She resigned, endorsing a moderate. Elmwood exhaled, pride parade swelling streets. Floats rainbowed. Alex and Jordan emceeing, Milo crowned king. Summer scorched with milestones. Lucian's baptism by the river. Rings dipped in water like vows renewed. Theo's exhibit featured Jordan's collages. Lucas's journal pages digitized, ethereal. But autumn's leaffall had heartache. Milo, out and proud, faced backlash. Vandalized locker, slurs scrawled. Ethan coached resilience. But when a teacher dismissed it as kids being kids, fury ignited. Bored hearing loomed. Ethan testifying. Silence enables. We teach better. Support flooded. Alex's op-ed in the Times. Jordan's mural downtown. The teacher transferred. Policy tightened. Milo thrived. Poem at slam. Rings of ink. Unbreakable. Thanksgiving gathered expanded circle. Hargroves. Milos. Fresh faces. Toasts to endurance. Rings symbolic. Winter deepened bonds. Riley's second book, Bridges Built, dedicated to Ethan, launch in Chicago. Loft sold, but memories lingered. He spoke at the site, voice steady. Spring's renewal. Alex and Jordan's adoption papers approved. A sibling set from the center, fostering to forever. Rings multiplied, family fractal. Then, summer's crescendo. Ethan's memoir published, Rings of Thunder climbing lists. Book tour whirlwind, cities, signings, stories shared. Back home, launch party under stars. Alex serenading, Jordan toasting. To the man who taught us rings aren't endings, they're echoes. As fireflies blinked, Ethan slipped on Lucas's ring anew, thumb tracing inscription. Thunder rumbled distant, but skies cleared. Love's narrative, ever unfolding. Hooks eternal, voices resonant.